Good morning, everyone. So today I am going to talk about as a part of MCM lecture series. I am going to discuss today about the lab and what kind of work we are doing. Any of the technology which has a potential use in terms of the use of for the other clinical faculty, and what are the core area where we are working and the facility we have. So coming to this laboratory of hepatic regenerative therapy, we have two core facility. One is the basic technology development facility, which is located on the first floor of the research block, and the production facility, which is on the third floor of the research block. In the core facility, which is technology development facility, so we have the Seahorse analyzer and a Luminex XMAP technology, which I'm going to discuss today, which has some potential in terms of both changing the understanding of pathophysiology as well as to some extent for the diagnostic use also. So coming first to the Seahorse, this instrument is basically measures the cell energy and fuel requirement. So why we need this instrument? If we all know that the energy is the primary requirement for any cell or any system to function. In our living system, we are well known that we have two type of energy metabolic process, glycolysis and oxidative phosphorylation, and which is mainly fueled by the three different type of fuels: carbohydrate, fats, and proteins. And in the past few years, it has been well established that apart from the signaling, the core requirement of this metabolism plays an important role in regulating the biological process. Suppose in broadly, if we say that particularly for the immune system, you have two things. Either your cells have a tolerance or you will have a resistance. So in both the process, the cells they shift their energy metabolic process to meet the demand of the body. For example, when you have an active inflammatory process, the cells mainly rely on glycolysis, and they basically rewire their oxidative phosphorylation for the production of different type of metabolites or the basic molecules need to that support. However, when they are switching to the anti-inflammatory or resolving, they need more energy, and they basically shift from glycolysis to oxidative phosphorylation. And to maintain the homeostasis, this shift is very much critical, because that will determine basically that how quickly the cells are coming back to its normal status and get ready for the next episode of insult. The Seahorse, so this understanding of requirement of energy is a very, very fundamental and very primary thought. However, there was some limitation in understanding that how we can measure the cell energy and how it changed in the living system. And this instrument has basically revolutionized the process of measuring the energy in the living cell or a living tissue. So what basically it do is that in real time it can measure the oxygen consumption rate of the cells, which is proportional to the mitochondrial respiration. And simultaneously it also measures the extracellular acidification rate, which is the measure of a glycolytic potential of the cells. So how this instrument do this? So this has a patented technology, this plate, which is a very important in terms of reading this process, and it has been designed in a way that it has a two component. One, it is the sensor cartridge, and the second is the cell plate. The cell plate is made in such a way that you can put your cells or a tissue in this chamber, and the sensor they have basically the two type of sensor, one for the ECAR and one for the oxygen consumption. And once they have to measure, they form a very minute micro chamber, so that there will be a minimal interference of the environment in terms of measuring the change with respect to particular stimuli or in a basal condition. Not only this, so this way they will tell you that in real time how much oxygen the cells are consuming and how much the hydrogen ion they are producing. So you can measure what is the glycolysis or what is the oxidative phosphorylation of a cell or a tissue. This also gives you the privilege to check the different parameters of this respiratory metabolism using a different type of inhibitors. So they are also equipped with the different 4 type of this tubes which is surrounding the sensors, and in this drug portal tubes you can put the different drugs and you can measure in real time that how these drugs are modulating the effect. So particularly if you want to see the mitochondrial respiratory parameter, if I have to see that how much oxygen is consumed in terms of ATP production, just simply use the oligomycin and see that how much oxygen is going down. Similarly, if I want to see that how much oxygen is not utilized in the mitochondrial respiration process, so if you can shut down the complex 1 and complex 3, the mitochondrial respiration electron transport will shut down, and whatever the oxygen consumed in that during that process is non-mitochondrial. So using, and if you have to see the maximum capacity, so you just uncouple the mitochondrial respiration, you can measure what is the maximum. So this way, using these different inhibitors, we can measure the basal respiration, we can measure the ATP production, we can measure the maximum respiration capacity of the cells or a tissue is having, and if you can subtract the maximum versus basal, you can also find what is the spare reserve capacity. Similarly, you can also measure the proton leak. So these are all the parameters from one experiment. You can measure all this mitochondrial respiration parameter. Similarly, for the glycolysis, using the glucose, oligomycin, and 2-DG, we can measure the non-glycolytic acidification, glycolytic potential, glycolytic capacity maximum the cells have, and what is the glycolytic reserve. So using these 2 energy pathway, we can say that whether the cells are anaerobic, they are more metabolically active, whether the cells are glycolytic, or they are less metabolically active or quiescent. And you can also measure, see the effect of different substrate or different signaling pathway, that how this different signaling or the substrate is basically changing the energy status or energy metabolism of the cells. Not only this, by using the different inhibitors, which basically designed for the inhibiting the transport of the major 3 fuels like glucose, fatty acids, and glutamines, which enter into the mitochondrial respiration. So you can also calculate what are the basal, in the basal metabolic condition, what is the fuel requirement, and when they are going into the acute phase, how they are changing their fuel requirement. So this way you can also measure the fuel flux of a cell. Now coming to that, so this is all for basic understanding that how this use of this technology can change our thinking. So coming to the one basic examples I have taken here is the ACLF. So there we all know that in ACLF patient, these patients are highly susceptible to infection and they develop sepsis and their prognosis is poor. The classical thinking based on the signaling and the pathophysiology of the cells, it says that in response to injury, these cells acquire the immunosuppressive phenotype. So this immunosuppressive phenotype defined, they are increasing the MERTK expression, they produce high amount of anti-inflammatory cytokines, they are poor in production of pro-inflammatory cytokines, HLA-DR and TLR4. But just for one thing I would like to say here is like MERTK. MERTK is required for phagocytosis of the dying neutrophils. We know that ACLF patients has a high neutrophil in their circulation as well as in the liver tissue. And this anti-inflammatory function is also required for the resolution of the injury. So why, if there is a immune suppression, why these patients are failed to resolve the injury? So using this technology, we saw that it's not the suppression only, but in terms of this factors basically lead to the bioenergy failure of the cells, and that basically translated in terms of the reduce their phagocytic activity, which is very important for performing the function of these cells. Next, we also try to see that how this energy metabolism of the cells change when the patient are receiving any kind of treatment. So what we found, we did the kinetics of the cells and we found that the patient who are responding or whose energy metabolism is increasing with the time, they are the one who is basically showing a spontaneous recovery or the responding to the therapy. However, the patient who are not responding, they are not improving its energy, they fail and they shows very high short-term mortality. So to check whether this has any diagnostic, we try to find the cutoff, and in this small cohort of the patient, which we found that like if the patient is having a basal respiration, mitochondrial respiration less than 22, and the glycolysis less than 42.7, they're showing high correlation with the increased short-term mortality. So it can be used as a diagnostic tool also, but we can't claim at this time. Second, in response to therapy also, so this paper by Dr. Rakhi also very nicely shows the importance of the energy metabolism. So they have used the plasma exchange as a treatment modality, and here if you see that the patient who responded to the treatment and who not responded to the treatment, the extent of reduction of the cytokines, damage factors, as well as the endotoxins were almost similar in both the group. However, the patient who are responding, they are showing improvement in the energy metabolism and as well as its phagocytic function. However, the patient who are not responding, they are not showing the improvement. So just by a simple this method, we can also understand that whether these patients are going to show any response to treatment or not. So coming to the cost, so yes, at this moment, this is a very experimental technique. And mitochondrial respiration, if you want to use, it costs around 25,000 for 6 samples. We need minimum 6 samples for that because the plate is made in that way. Glycolysis, 20,000 for 6 samples. Energy phenotype, 20,000. Fuel flux, it needs more number of cells, and it is costing around 30,000 per samples. Test running time is approximately 3 to 4 hours, and reporting time is 1 day. The next technology I'm going to tell about that Luminex XMAP technology. So at present, we are doing a single protein or a single molecule approach. Like if you want to see the expression or the quantify the protein, we are using a ELISA. Yes, ELISA is an economic technique, but if you want to see 2, 3, or 4 factors. But if you want to see more than 4 factors at a time, it needs more amount of samples. It needs more, it is non-economical also. So this Luminex technology is a very robust multiplexing quantitative assay technology. And the basic principle what they have used, it's a sandwich ELISA kind of thing. So they have a patented Luminex bead which act as a identifying signal for the particular ligand or a protein. And that is attached with the capture antibody. And the principle is simply the flow cytometry based. So they have a 2 layer. The 1 layer detects that from which tag of which bead the particular ligand or the analyte is attached, and the second will tell you the expression of that ligand. So by that you can, using this instrument, we can go up to the 100 analytes at one time we can analyze. This is not only for the protein, it is having a flexible platform, so you can do the protein, you can do the nucleic acid, you can do the enzyme assay, and as well as the receptor ligand interaction. By using this, if we can compare, so if you are going for more than 3 samples at a time, analytes, and in multiple samples, obviously multiplexing with the Luminex will be more cost effective. It will need less time as well as less requirement of the sample. So in terms of cost, if we see that if you want to do 40 analytes, so that will cost around 10,000 per sample. And if you per sample per analyte, it is just 250 per sample per analyte. Running time is again 4 hours, reporting time is 1 day. And the
give some example where clinicians can use this.
So like sir, here we have used this technology.
For Luminex, how can people design experiments or which tissues or cells?
Like the one thing which I feel for the ILBS perspective is that one we are using the BioFire just to see the different type of bacteria or the viruses you have in the circulation. So this technology can be used there also. So BioFire you can go to 20 or 30. Here you can you can go up to 100 analytes. And same time BioFire, I don't know about whether they are giving a quantitative or not. So here you can get the quantitative, that how much is the quantity of this particular thing. Second is that, like Dr. Nirupma has tried to use this for this HLA typing. So where this instrument has robustly used for if you want to go for the broader spectrum of the different HLA type for the transplant purpose. So these are the two areas where this technology can be used. Similarly, if you want to see the inflammatory state, so just looking for the one cytokine like TNF-alpha, IL-6 or IL-10, it will not tell you the entire inflammatory state of the body. So rather than if you want to use the entire panel, so there obviously this technology will be more cost effective and time effective. Then in terms of next, I will just briefly tell about what are the animal models we have. So the lab is basically having a well-established murine model of chronic liver injury, where we have showing the progressive increase in what days we are getting what kind of changes in the liver. And recently we have also developed the animal model of acute on chronic liver failure, which is showing almost all the clinical features in terms of the ascites, coagulopathy, jaundice, as well as the portal hypertension. And it also tells us about that how the perpetual presence of liver injury and infection lead to the development of ACLF. Thank you very much for your attention.